to Allie's top 3 writing tips. Tip number 1, set yourself up for success. You want to find the right environment that helps you write well, and you want to get in the zone. For me, I literally shut myself in my bathroom, because if I am not shut off from every single distraction in my entire house, it is so hard for me to focus and write. You want to get to that point where it's just you and the keyboard, and you're also use timers. I find this super helpful for me because I'm not a great person at going through and managing my time well. So when I use timers, it helps me say, hey, I'm gonna write for 20 minutes and then I'll see how far I get from there. Also, know what inspires you. If there's something that gets you to the point where you feel ready to write, do that. Don't be afraid to know how to hack yourself to the point where you get yourself in this perfect spot where you want to write. Tip 2, follow your instincts. That's right. You know how to write well. You just have to take all your skills and put them together and put them to good use. First off, don't force a plot point. If you can tell innately that you're trying to make something happen in the story because you want it to happen, not because it's where the story is naturally going, don't do it. Let your story guide you. I've started writing before, and the first time I started putting papers down on the page for this new draft of this story, I could tell that there were 2 very clear paths. There was a story I had planned out in my head, and there was the story that I could just instinctively tell wanted to be told. I made an executive decision in that moment to just let the story lead. Best decision I ever made. It was more natural, it flowed. To be honest, it was funnier. It was just a better story. Trust your gut. If you feel a story is going in a direction that you don't think what it is intended to go in, don't do it. Also, if you feel like your story is getting boring, it probably is. Your readers will probably be bored way faster than you will. You already have an emotional connection to your characters, and you already want to see them succeed. Your reader might not have the benefit of the doubt because they haven't been with your characters as long as you have. Don't let it be boring. One of my favorite writing tips from one of my favorite writers, her name is Margaret Peterson Haddix. She was writing one of her books. She was pregnant at the time and she was supposed to be taking naps and getting rest, but instead she was writing her novel. And what she ended up doing is she would only write the story if it was exciting enough to keep her from falling asleep when she should have been resting. So essentially, excitement is important. If you're excited about your story and it is keeping your mind mentally engaged, the chances of it mentally engaging your reader are way, way higher. Also, sleep on it. If you're not sure whether or not you like a portion in your story, give yourself a minute to wait. Some people will say things like, walk away from it for a couple weeks and come back. I've found that sometimes just sleeping on it is enough. If I get away from the story for a hot minute and I'm out of it and go back and reread it, I can tell really easily whether or not it works or it doesn't work. My third and last tip, tip number 3, be truthful in your writing. This is something that I have found incredibly important as I have grown as a writer. As writers, especially since I think a lot of us are introverts, it's really easy to want to hide behind our stories and not be emotionally vulnerable. I have found that that is one of the most detrimental things you can do to your story. There's a part in The Office where Dwight is trying to train one of his other salespeople, and he has him down in the manure in his farm, and he says, you see what that is? That's bullcrap. Clients can smell it from a mile away. I found the same thing to be true with writing. If you're not being emotionally honest with yourself in terms of what's happening with the characters, readers are going to instinctively know that. Writing that is truthful is writing that is impactful. You need to be willing to confront maybe some things in your own life that your characters might be subconsciously trying to communicate to you in a way that makes you emotionally vulnerable. The way I think about it is writing is a lot like acting. It has to come from someplace real, or chances are it's not going to work. If you are honest on the page, just like you would be honest with a good friend, readers are going to connect with you and your characters in deeper ways than you would ever imagine. In conclusion, go write. You got this. What are your top tips?